While most presidents wore suit jackets, ties, and dress pants all the time, you don't have to any longer. Because Presidents Unplugged has merch. If you want to check out some new shirts to buy as a nice gift for somebody in your family or just something that you want yourself, go to presidentsunpluggedmerch.com to check out new shirts, hoodies, crew necks, and anything else that you can dream of. Now in many more colors and new designs coming soon. I'm very excited for the President's Unplugged merch store to finally be open. Now, let's get back to the show. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to President's Unplugged. Today is a very special episode. July 4th, Independence Day. The day when all Americans get together, hand in hand, and say, yeah, we did that. July 4th is a very special holiday. I feel like everyone's always at the beach, and it's kind of the pinnacle of summer, and everyone's always having fun, fireworks, hot dogs, fun stuff. But this is a history podcast, not your average what are the rednecks doing? So, what happened on July 4th? Well, some people say, oh, the Declaration of Independence was signed, and it's our nation's birthday. Good, you know something. But we need to make something very clear. Not just one thing happened on July 4th. Many things have happened on July 4th in our country's history. And in this very special episode of Presidents Unplugged, we're going to have a July 4th fact extravaganza, showing what makes this date in our history so special. Everybody knows that the Declaration of Independence was signed in July of 1776. Everyone knows that. But there's a lot more things that happened on July 4th. Coincidences, deaths, events, things that struck hope in our nation. Lots of things. So let's dive into them now. Starting from the beginning, on July 4th, 1776, all these people got in a room and signed the Declaration of Independence. Yeah, that's probably what you think happened too. Except it didn't really work that way. The Second Continental Congress, or basically America's government before we had a system, said, y'all can sign this Declaration of Independence. We can become an independent nation. But because of some difficulties at the time of delegates not being able to be at the Congress and blah, 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 they couldn't sign it that day. So all these people in powdered wigs did not sign the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. Most of the delegates actually signed the paper, the real paper, on August 2nd, 1776. But the reason that our nation has perceived this July 4th holiday as so special is because that was the day that our government adopted our independence and showed that, yeah, we're not sticking with these Britain people anymore. We're done with them. We're absolutely done with them. So, even if it might have not have been exactly like that, July 4th is now the representation of the freedom of our country and is known today as Independence Day. Here's a funny thing. You might think, oh, we've celebrated July 4th as a national holiday forever, haven't we? No. We actually didn't celebrate July 4th as a national holiday until 1941. FDR adopted it as a federal holiday on July 4th, 1941, and it has stuck ever since. So, even though July 4th has not been Independence Day for 250 years, note that it is still a direct representation of the birthday of America, because on this day in history, all these people got together and said, yes, we're going to be free from Britain. We're going to be free. We're going to do our own thing. We're going to be independent. And that is the beauty of this first ever event on July 4th, 1776. 50 years go by from July 4th, 1776. 1826, July 4th, 1826. What happened on this day? Well, two of our most famous early founding father presidents, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, even though they kind of separated themselves politically wise, Thomas Jefferson wanted a more state power, so a weaker federal government, and John Adams wanted more federal government overall. So they disagreed on some things. But later in life, after Thomas Jefferson and John Adams kind of went back and forth sending each other letters, they became best friends. So they were close. But they were a little too close. On July 4th, 1826, on the 50th anniversary of our country's signing of the Declaration of Independence, tragedy struck. John Adams died. Okay, what does that have to do with anything? He died on the 50th anniversary of our nation's history. Oh, I don't know that he and a couple other guys kind of started? Yeah, coincidence, right? But then, oh no, later in the night, we get a message that old TJ has kicked the bucket. Thomas Jefferson died the same night. Some people say he died in hearing the news of John Adams' death. Yeah, I don't know about that. But I can tell you something crazy. The fact that these two lifelong friends that both signed the Declaration of Independence, whether they signed it on the 2nd, the 4th, or the 6th of July, it's pretty crazy that these two best friends who were together and wrote letters to each other for lots of the end of their lives happened to die on the same day. Oh, no, but something else just happened to happen. James Monroe. James Monroe, our 5th president in 1831, just 5 years later, also died on July 4th. Whoa, this is getting creepy. 3 of the first 5 presidents of the United States died on July 4th. That is a fact that I heard one time and I said, there's no way that can be true. But yes, it is. And it is one of my favorite American facts of all time. And go tell your friends. Yeah, 3 of the first 5 presidents died on July 4th. So, July 4th, big day, right? Big Death Day, big Independence Day. Oh my gosh, all's happening, blah, 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 blah. But we have even more. In 1960, July 4th, 1960, the United States raised a new flag to represent our nation. 50 stars, 13 stripes, the red, white, and blue. What a great representation. Another, I know this is a factathon, so just you're taking it all in, right? The first demonstration of the 50-star American flag was actually made by a high school student who showed it to his teacher. He said, okay, teacher, here's my idea for a 50-star flag of the United States. He used it as a project. His teacher gave him a B-. Dude, are you serious? I made a flag that represents the best country in the world, and you give me a B-? Little would he know that Dwight Eisenhower years later would raise up the flag as the nation's symbol. And it shows that no matter who you are, you can make an impact on the world around you. It was a great representation of the finalizing of our nation, adding Alaska and Hawaii, 2 states that aren't even in the 48 intercontinental United States. That's a mouthful. So, we have seen presidents die, kick the bucket, gone on July 4th. 3 of them, in fact. And over the course of our history, after the first 3 presidents, or the first 3 out of the 5, died on July 4th, we actually never saw that again, and we haven't seen it since. So, I'm telling you, that's a creepy coincidence. It's a whole thing. But we wouldn't see a president die on July 4th ever again. But on July 4th, 1872, a man by the name of Calvin Coolidge was born. July 4th, 1872. Calvin Coolidge would go down as our only president whose birthday is July 4th. Calvin Coolidge was a man of silence. I am excited to one day do a Calvin Coolidge episode because I'm going to do it on nothing. This man barely said anything. And one of my favorite stories of his is, I know this episode is all around, you just have to accept it at this point. A lady came up to Calvin Coolidge one time and said, I bet I can make you say more than 2 words. He was a silent man. He would never say more than 2 words. He looked her dead in the eyes and said, you lose. What a guy. What a guy. This dude had a reputation. He built off it and showed that you could be silent. And this is kind of almost going back to the Teddy Roosevelt episode. Speak softly and carry a big stick. Calvin Coolidge, he had his mind in check. But you don't always need to be the loudest in the room to be the best in the room. I probably need to learn that lesson myself, but that's for another day. While George Washington himself might not have had an Instagram page, Presidents Unplugged does. If you want to see some presidential content and overall updates on the show, come to the Instagram at presidents_unplugged. See you there. July 4th, 2004, groundbreaking begins for Freedom Tower in New York City. What is Freedom Tower? On September 11th, 2001, in September, you're actually going to have a specific 9/11 episode, so get ready for that. But after the events of 9/11, we lost our Twin Towers. The sad event that would strike Americans all the way for the rest of history, and a terrorist event that was meant to break down the beliefs of the United States people. But what ended up happening is we united together and fought for the greater cause. And Freedom Tower, if you don't know, Freedom Tower is a building in New York City that is 1,776 feet tall. There's another bonus fact of the day. They made it with the spire 1,776 feet tall, which is actually taller than both of the previous Twin Towers. And here's a little thing that shows the American ideal. We didn't just build back another Twin Tower. We built back a bigger tower. George Bush said a quote that aligns with this perfectly. Terrorists can knock down our biggest buildings, but you cannot dent the steel of American resolve. I used that in a Veterans of Foreign Wars paper one year, and it hit me like a truck, because it shows you something that is in the beauty of the core of America. We don't just build back what we once had. We build back bigger, we build back stronger, and we build back a more united, more powerful nation. God, I'm proud to be an American. So, July 4th. We figured out in this episode there is a lot of business, a lot of stuff happening on July 4th. Lots of stuff over our history has happened on July 4th. Whether that's people dying, presidents dying on this very specific date in history, or Joey Chestnut shoving his face with hot dogs. Oh, sorry, vegan hot dogs. I know that was a big deal. But I just want you, as a nation, to walk into today. It's 1 p.m. already if you're listening to this on July 4th, and I'm guessing you are because it's America Day, baby. I want you to realize today what a beautiful nation and what a free and what an awesome place you live in. Whether you're my one listener from Sweden or my other 99% of listeners from America, know that America is a nation that is so strong. We're not strong because of the money that we have, the military that we have, our beautiful mountains, our whatever. The beauty of America is how we as people fight together for a greater cause. And that's what I want you to appreciate on this July 4th in 2025. America is a nation that is built on the beliefs of our forefathers. Our forefathers came to this nation for religious freedom, the freedom to just do their own thing. And they fought so hard for us, the modern generation, to be built better and stronger. They set down those building blocks many years ago for us to stand on them and say, yes, I am proud to be an American. Sorry to my one Swedish viewer that this won't apply to. I am so proud to be an American on this July 4th, and so should you. Look around you today and thank all the people, whether that's a veteran in the Whole Foods section of Walmart or your grandma that just has been here the whole time. Make sure to appreciate the people around you who have built and have made the foundation of this beautiful country we live in. And thank you for listening to this very special July 4th Fireworks, Freedom, and Founding Fathers Factathon. Ooh, that's a fun word. Factathon. Oh, I love that word. And now, we have an outro to be getting to. Tune in next Friday as we talk about William Howard Taft. Oh, I remember that guy. That's the guy that got stuck in a bathtub in the White House. Or did he? Figure out that and much more next week. This is Presidents Unplugged. I'm Ty Svensson. And happy Independence Day. God bless. We need to make an executive decision now. The executive decision to follow Presidents Unplugged on Apple Podcasts or Spotify today to be notified weekly that your favorite presidential podcast has released new content. Now, let's get back to the show.